Welcome to Couch Talk with Molly, where Molly gets to talk it up with some fantastic people from First Pres Norman.
Yeah, watch this or we'll start rocking. So.
Well, I'll walk too with you. Okay, good morning or happy Monday, whatever day, whatever time this is. I'm excited to be here with John and Jean Cate.
Yeah.
Good morning. Let's get in, shall we? So tell us a little bit about yourselves.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, I was born and raised in Bartlesville and had a wonderful upbringing. My dad worked for Phillips for 40 years, and so Phillips had everything. They had swimming pool. I was on the swim team, even got to go to state. Not that I swam in state, but I got to go with the team because I was a swimmer. We were members of the First Methodist Church there, which was right behind the First Presbyterian, and I had good friends in that, but grew up with a very, very strong church family. Then I came to OU and actually got several degrees from OU, but that's where we met.
Yep.
I'll let you...
Well, you want to start with that? We can start
No,
there.
you
let's
start
go
back
back.
behind.
The beginning is I grew up in Norman. I am a Normanite, if you want to say that. And, I grew up on Mulgee Street, which is just a couple blocks away. So we made a big circle to Chicago and Indianapolis and back to here.
Oh, wow.
And it's kind of ironic. I've lived within 2 blocks of here for 70 years.
Wow.
70 years.
Except
So-
for two.
Except for 2. 73, 72. Anyway, my dad was at the university, so he was vice president at the university. So we, at that point in time, I got to say the Presbyterian Church was a lot of college professors and people related to the university one way or another. Went to school at Norman High, graduated from Norman High and went to OU and got a degree there. And that's where I met Jean, and so that's the beginning of everything, I guess.
So do you have a class together?
No.
No, we were set up. So a girl in my dorm set me up. She had a date with a fraternity boy, and he set us up to go to a pledge party together. So it was a blind date,
Okay.
and I was living in Cate Center at the
So
time.
Holman House, and I drove up, and I knew I had a date with somebody. I guess I knew your name. That's about it.
Yeah.
At that point, and so in those days, they call up there. Did they call you guys? And she came down, and I went, I guess that's her. And so that's how we met.
Just
So-
a lucky guess.
We won't mention where we went that night. It was kind of a party thing, but
Right.
a couple days later I guess that was Friday night. Or Saturday
I
night.
actually think that was Saturday night, and the
Saturday night.
next morning,
I'd asked her to. You want to go to church? I couldn't wait long. I want to see her again. So.
Aw.
So we sit in church today about where we sat that day.
So you went to
This-
First Presbyterian
Yes,
Church.
First Presbyterian.
because he was
I
raised
started-
in First
Date.
Presbyterian
I was in
Church.
Presbyterian church all my life. And,
Okay.
Oh,
like
you should have brought your 3rd grade Bible out.
Yes.
Oh,
we have a
man.
confirmation Bible there.
That's so cool.
We going back in history though. The church originally was on either Main Street or in Webster University Boulevard. I
Right.
don't recall which, but anyway, I was baptized there apparently. I had in my baby book. We finally ran across this. That it was June 17th or something, 1947.
Oh, wow.
That I was baptized. So.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was the other church, and so I have no memory of that, but I do have memories of First Pres on University Boulevard from like age 7 or 8, something like that, and it gets real confusing to me because there was a fire at the church at one point, and I don't know if that was before or during or while they were adding the education wing. That didn't exist. Everything was upstairs. The grade school rooms, and I went through all those grade school classrooms.
So you have seen the church
Yes.
just
Yes,
expand.
from the basement to the top. And,
Yes.
been on the roof many times and in the basement many times.
And I don't know if you've noticed, but there are some windows, our stained glass windows, that have Roscoe Simmons Cate, and that was John's father.
So I know what brought you then to First Pres.
Mhm.
Is you born and raised and baptized and confirmed, but then you grew up Methodist.
Right.
How did it feel coming to Presbyterian?
It was an easy move, and it was very natural. And even when my mother came to live here in the 80s, and she came, I was getting my master's at that time and working, and so she came to help me after my dad had passed away, and she came to help, and she moved from the Methodist Church to the Presbyterian Church, and she loved our church, and our church was wonderful to her.
I love that. What did you guys do for professions? Because we kind of skipped over that.
Well, she's the educator, so
Yes, I was a teacher. I actually started teaching in Skokie, Illinois. We moved back here in the early 70s, and I began teaching at that time Central Junior High, when there was West Junior High and Central Junior High, not the mid-highs, but the junior highs, before the middle schools opened. It was the year before the middle schools opened.
Oh, okay.
And so then started having, we have 2 boys, and started having children, so I worked part-time for a while. I went in, I got really excited about how kids learn, and it just is so fascinating to me about learning, and so I started working in curriculum work.
Oh, neat.
And then I was an elementary principal, and then I was director of curriculum for Norman schools. And I retired and went out to the university just to get my PhD and to work on a Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation grant to help principals and superintendents learn how to use technology in the schools.
Oh, awesome.
And so got to work with educators across the state, which was really fascinating, and teach at the university in the educational leadership department. So worked for 15 more years after retiring for
Sounds
30
like
years
it,
with
right.
education. So.
I wouldn't say she's retired yet, honestly, with all the work I know you do for the church. That's fine.
About you.
Yes,
That's
now
enough
let's
about
go.
me.
Well, like I said, I graduated from Norman High and went straight to OU. And I always love telling people about this, that the price to go to school was nothing for me, really. I lived at home on Mulligan Street, and classes were $7 an hour, $21 a class, 5 to be $100 plus
Right.
a semester, And
Yeah.
the books were more than
The class.
tuition.
Right.
So anyway, that's always remarkable to people. But anyway, went to OU, right off the bat decided I wanted to be in business. That's kind of where my dad was. My grandfather was a lawyer, and my brother was a lawyer. My older brother's an engineer, was an engineer. And anyway, I liked finance and so forth. So I have a degree in business from OU.
Okay.
And when we graduated, I applied for a job and got it in Chicago. And I was a bond underwriter. That confuses people what that means, but I did a lot of construction bonds for contractors. And it was a regional office, so we had people sending us business from local offices like Oklahoma City or someplace. And so we saw all kinds of things. We did a lot of big fidelity bonds. At one point in time, McDonald's was a client of mine.
Oh, nice.
And I inherited it. It was a nightmare. We did the bonding for it, which means fidelity insurance and robbery insurance and so forth. And we were getting killed on the robberies in Detroit, namely. But, anyway, that was a lot of fun. They transferred me to Indianapolis to be the bond guy there, bond rep. And we did that for a year, but we decided that we were getting a little homesick, and we didn't have any children yet. And we decided this time to go home. And so we came back to Norman and went to work as an insurance agent. Been there, what's that now, 20-something years. I have about 50 years in the insurance business, so that's the end of that story.
That's awesome.
It's nearing the end of that story.
It's close. It's close. Huh? All right, so what are some of your favorite memories from First Pres?
That's difficult. That spans the whole time frame there in school. And I mostly remember, more than anything else, the grade school stuff was fine, but I remember the funerals and weddings I've been there. So I've seen a lot of things through the years. But in the early days, it was in Alexander Hall. That was the sanctuary, while the other building, while the sanctuary was being built. And I was a candlelighter many times, and I remember that. That always scared me a little bit. That tender age at 8 or 9 or whatever it might have been.
Yes.
Those are the memories I have a lot of memories since then. I've been a trustee 3 times now, so that's 9 years plus. And the trustees has been a real education for me. I've enjoyed that. I'm off now. Went off in January.
Right. Yeah.
Up to 3.5 years or whatever it was.
Right. Yeah.
So I would go back someday, but not right away.
Not right away. Don't ask
But-
me.
I've served a couple times, different times on the nominating committee. I will say, talking about what you really enjoyed, I really enjoyed being on the nominating committee this time so much more than I did the previous time when I was on it. we came together, we had devotion, and we got to really talk to the people instead of just breaking up individually and calling people. So it helped us get to know each other better, but then it also helped us know the people who were coming. We were looking at calls for officers, so I enjoyed that. And years ago, I was an elder, and it was the Church and Society Committee back then. And it was during that time when I was on that committee as an elder that we changed it to the Mission Committee.
Okay.
But we were still doing food and shelter. We did the white bags every once a month, and for food, people would take the bags home and then bring them back the next week.
So you've been helping at Food and Shelter for how long then?
Both of us. Or more so.
Many years.
Many years.
Yeah,
Wow.
probably, I guess, over 20. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Because you're going to go serve today now.
Yes. As soon as we leave here, John is going to serve too,
Very
because
good.
somebody wasn't able to come.
Right.
So.
That's amazing.
So I think my favorite memories, I served on other committees. I was on the new members committee one time when I was an elder, but I think God was calling me to do something with the mission committee, and I just got really into it, and I just appreciate, our church is so generous and so giving, and I feel like when we go work on our projects, I've got to know so many different people so much better, and I just love spending time at the church. I told somebody the church is my happy place to go.
That's brilliant. I like that. So what are your hopes and dreams for the church? Especially if you've been there your whole life.
A long time. I don't know. I'm really glad that Michael's come in. We need that longevity, I hope, and that'll be good. And I hope he can, like we all hope, we'll get a younger group coming in, and that will help. We're definitely getting older. And that's my main thing, is to grow the membership and hopefully bring in the youthful side of things and connect more with OU. I really think that's a good idea.
When I think about the church, I think about building those stronger relationships, and some kind of small group. It can be a study small group. I've loved doing the Lenten studies and the Advent studies, and the Sunday school classes. But the mission work, when we're together, like we'll be together with the Matthews and with Mary Kate, and you just really get to talk with people and get to know them, and I think building those strong relationships. I love the prayer triplets. I'd like for us to figure out ways to group and regroup, because getting to know different people is great. I love being in the circle, and I love the ladies in the circle, but I also want to be around other people in other ways. So I just think if we can figure out some ways to group and regroup and build, our own faith and reach out to the people around us, I'm excited about Second Wind and our relationship there. I just think that we're in the right direction. I think we have wonderful leadership. I think the other thing I was thinking about is the difference from when our children, hearing people talk about how their children have been active. I just think we have a much more active youth ministry than we did. And bringing my grandchildren to church is just wonderful, because they're always so welcome. And they feel that, and I do too. And so they love coming. So I just think continue in the way that we're going now is what we need to do, and just deepen it.
This has been Couch Talk with Molly. My thanks to John and Jean Cate and everything they do for this church.
It's been fun to have the high school group come over. for fellowship.
Well, you
More
got
about,
the great
Oh, yeah.
space for it.
well, we got
I mean, this
I've
is
been
beautiful.
like 4 times maybe or something like
Yeah.
that. We just really get a kick out of that, hearing them
good.
talk and mingle among themselves.
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
It's really
They're fun.
we're not around those people, that age group very often.
Yeah,
Right.
right.
It's fun.